How's it going, YouTube? It's APOC, and today I'm going to show you how to make this start to finish in Lens Studio. So a face inset character, just like my last video, but the full process start to finish. And I have this project already done for you in the description below, so you can download and just start from this project. And if you do open up this little example project I made, there's a README down here, which you can click on, then click View Markdown Content right here. And it'll open up this panel that has some notes and stuff that I'm writing down. There's also some nice little tricks in here. One option is skin color change. So that will allow you to change the skin color if you need that. Be responsible, please. Eye color, that's right here. I'm using my blend mode setting, a multiply that I usually use for this. You can use whatever you need, whatever color you want to change the eye to, that's there. Color adjust, that allows you to do the hue, saturation, color things I showed in my last video, but that's down in components. Color adjust, that material will have those options right there that you can play around with, including the hue, which will allow you to change the color of everything, right? Set that to 0. Face retouches here. Also settings you can play around with. You can disable these things if you don't need them to. If you want the color adjust to affect the eye color, by the way, just move that so it's after the eye color in the render orders. We have the nose, which is using the base color to set the color of the nose. So you can change that here or copy this setup to do it to the other face insets. And you have all these face insets already set up for you, but you can also play around with those settings as needed. The clear color for the background color is under dynamic textures, render target, and then right here, this clear color, you just click on that and then edit the values here. Okay. You can change it to whatever you need it to be. Let's get into the full tutorial now. So this full tutorial is going to be start to finish. It is going to be really long, and I'm not going to really edit it that much. Hopefully won't have to edit it at all. I do have this like real-time zoom in effect I can do. Yeah, we are going to just go every single step, so I can show you literally the whole process of how to do this. And hopefully, help you all understand how it works. And yeah, let's get into it. First things first, I downloaded this pencil from Sketchfab. This uses a license called CC Attribution, which you can click right here, and boom, it's going to open up the license. This is important to remember. Anything you do on Twitch or whatever is commercial use because you're inherently trying to make money for the most part, right? That's commercial use. You need to have the right license. Things like this will allow you to use it commercially as long as you also attribute the person that made the model somewhere, like in the description of a YouTube video or whatever. This attribution has to be there. So like this video will have this attribution in the description. Keep that in mind. Be responsible. Make sure artists are compensated properly. Don't steal people's stuff. Follow the licenses, stuff like that. You might have to spend a couple bucks, get the model you want. That's just how it is. But you're supporting an artist, and it's just good. It's good to do. All right. So I downloaded that model as a GLTF. Let me go back here. Here it is. There's three main file types for 3D objects. That's FBX, OBJ, and GLTF. Those are your three main 3D object file types that Lens Studio supports. I think it supports a little more than that, but those are the three main ones. GLTF was an option on that one, so that's what we got. And I'm just going to drag that in. You can drop it into your scene or your assets. I'll drop it into the assets to show you how to work with that setup first. The scene one will drop it in the scene fully and in the assets. Just in the assets, it's just going to put it only in assets. Now, I just drug it in, and this kind of confuses people. You have to close out of your File Explorer, but it might not let you even click that. So what you got to do is come down here and like tab into Lens Studio. And then you'll see that this screen popping up is the reason you couldn't touch anything. Just click accept. All of the default settings should be fine. So just click accept, and now it's going to load it in. It's going to take a second, and we'll have this little package over here. So what we need to do is click on that drop down next to that package and grab the other package, drag that into the scene. Boom. And now it is in the scene. You can see it right there. Yours might show up really tiny or really big. So there are scale numbers here that you can type in and just type in some different scales until you can see it, or try, moving it around, stuff like that. There's also a zoom to object or zoom to selection here. So if you select it and you zoom to it, you know, the camera will automatically pan over to it, which will help as well. Okay, so ours is not on the camera. Let's just get it in the camera real quick, and you can see it's gray. We will get into the materials later after we put the face insets over it, but this is pretty common stuff imports in Lens Studio without the materials, or if it does have materials, it'll be like set up wrong. We're going to remake the materials in Lens Studio and then just add the textures to them. If we had textures, this did come with textures, and if you need textures for yours, make sure the file you download actually includes them. I am not going to use textures in this case because we don't need them, but yeah, you'll need the textures. Okay. First thing you need to do is fix the origin of the 3D model. So right now that's the origin, but the actual model is like over there, right? Let's zoom to this. Yeah, you can see the origin is way off. That's our geometry. That's the origin. Not good. So one way you can do that is simply make something, click out here outside of that scene in the root, and then drag this to where you want the origin to be. And then we'll drag all the children meshes into that one. That way works. That's the fallback option. Or in this case, I know that this one right here already has a really good origin point. So I'll just click into that, create scene object. And then I'll drag this object I just made out into that root. And then I'll take all of these, which are the geometry objects, put that into that. It's out there in the root by itself now. And you can see the origin is where I want it to be. So I can move that around. And we'll delete that old parent setup we don't need. Okay. Now that we've done that, we are going to add in the head binding. So you're going to click on the plus button up here, type in head binding, and then just click on the face occluder, then right click it and delete. Don't need that. Okay. The next step is to drag that, which we're going to rename this real quick to just character. Just like that. It's character. We will drag that onto our head binding. Boom. And now we want to go over to the transform here, right click around the word transform and click reset. Okay. And that will put that, you know, centered on whatever head binding point is being used. And in this case, we're at head center right now. But like I said in my last video, face mesh center is the better option usually because it's more movement. So this is rotating. Let me just demonstrate this real quick with a box. You can actually see what's happening. So this is rotating, right? But it's not shifting as well. It's rotating like my actual head does, which you might want. But if you have a character, you kind of often want them to move a little bit more so you don't have to put as much work into your like puppeteering skills with your head and everything when you're playing games. So it's more like dramatic in my opinion if you like turn like this and the character like moves a little bit. So I like face mesh center for that because it's just a little bit offset to where it's like you can see that the center point of it is being moved more. Okay. And Candide center is an even more extreme example of that because that's basically the nose. Face mesh center is like kind of the center point of your face, but a little bit back. And head center is like the top of your neck, like in the very middle of like your whole 360 head, you know. These other ones too, I mean, there's forehead, there's chin. You know, chin will actually move a little bit with your jaw, which, you know, might be cool. Mouth center as well. You know, there's all kinds of different things. I think face mesh center is probably the best for a lot of people. We're going to delete this box now. So let's click back on our character to re-enable it. And now what we're going to do is on our character, set the size how you want it. And I already know that 0.33 on the scale for this is a good size. By the way, I just did that with the uniform scale button. So you can click on that to toggle like the one value would uniformly scale all of them. And that works even if this is like set to 1 and then I do uniform scale, it will continue to keep the same ratio as I scale. It's pretty nifty. Okay, so we are now going to work on our user camera. So that's going to be the input for our face inset. If you remember from other video, the face insets are using a different render target as their input. So in order to do that, we need to click up here in our scene panel, and we're going to add in camera. Look for camera. It's right there. The top one called camera, not none of these other cameras. And then we'll rename this user cam. And it's actually going to be rendering first. So I'm going to drag it up to the top. Okay. Then over here, we need to change the layer. So let's add a new layer. Click the little pencil and we'll call that user perspective, just in case you want to add an ortho to this render target 2 one day. For now, we will use user perspective. Then render target. Let's add a new render target. So just click the plus button in there after click on that field. Okay, and boom. Now I'm going to rename that render target real quick to just user render. Now we have that camera rendering onto a render target we can't see at the moment. So in order to see that render target temporarily, click down here on scene, then up here, click on the live target and set that to user render. Now we will be changing that back, but for now, this is our user render camera. So if we go to our user cam, click the plus button, type in face, and then you'll get face retouch as an option. Drag that into the proper camera. It's probably going to add it to the wrong one. Just like that. Open that up. It's got the wrong layer now. You can click this little dot. If you don't see that, click the eye. Or you can go over to here and click this one. Set that to user perspective. So now our face retouch is on the user perspective layer. And we are currently viewing the user perspective camera render target. So should be able to see it on and off here. It's very minimal. I guess I already have perfect skin or it's not working. Maybe it's not working. Let's debug why. User perspective. User perspective. We have to refresh. That's why the ML retouch requires refreshing. Okay. Auto mode. Turn that off. If you're going to be showing your whole face, by the way, leaving ML retouch will be fine, and it's like a really good retouch. But if you're not going to be showing your whole face, I think this is better because then we can like intensify stuff. So auto type to default, auto mode off, soft skin off, because this version of soft skin has like a crosshatch pattern and it just looks bad. So let's get rid of that. Teeth whitening, like I said in my last video, if you turn this up all the way, it makes your tongue white, which is not great. So we're just going to actually copy the settings from my other project because I like those settings. So 0.9 to 1.5, 0.9. 0.92, 1.5, and 0.9. So eye whitening, that's like the actual whites of your eyes. You can make them really bright if you need to. Eye sharpening, another thing that's pretty nice. I turned it up a lot on this at 1.5, which does kind of have some weird artifacting because I'm going to add eye color, and that's going to kind of hide a little bit of that crime and make the eye color pop more. But if you aren't going to add eye color, maybe turn this down closer to like 1 maximum. Okay, so that's that. Now let's add in our color adjust so we can like do the little trick of like improving the, you know, perceived quality. So we go to the asset library for that. And we type in color adjust, just like this. Okay, and then we want to find this one. Click on import. Boom. Let that import, then we close out of the asset library. And open this up. See the little package right here. We're just going to drag that up onto our user camera and then do the same thing with the layer. Make sure that's changed to that layer. Open up the materials folder in this color adjust, and that is where the values are. So we can edit the hue and everything here if we need to. And there we go. Okay. So yeah, that, oops, I moved it down 1. Move that to 1. Okay, sorry. Like I said, this is going to be a long video. Yeah, so I changed the render layer there to 1, the render order, I mean. So make sure that's 1, so it's after the face retouch. Okay. Now we will set the hue color to 0, our saturation. We'll just 0 all these out for now, and then, oh, actually contrast is supposed to be 1 and brightness 1 by default. Okay. Contrast. Turn that up a little bit. Saturation, I like to turn that up a little bit. Lightness, if you want to, you can. In this case, my camera's like kind of overexposed. Maybe we should turn it down a tiny bit. And if you want to change the whole scene's colors or whatever, you can play around with the hue. But that seems good. There's also an HDR thing, an invert button if you want. You know, play around with that. The next thing though is our eye color. So let's add that in. We're doing the same thing, but we're just searching for eye color this time. Boom. Drag that up into the camera, user perspective, and we will change it to green. Realistic is what they start with. I'm changing it to multiply though. Seems to work better usually. And I'll lower the alpha just a tiny bit to 70. And now we have that working. If you want this to go over the color adjustment, set it to 1 or 2. If it's 1, make sure it's just after it in the scene order. But I want it to kind of go before it, so we can have it at 1, but before it. Okay, so that should be affected by now if we were to change the hue. Maybe not. 0 will affect it then. Okay, there we go. So yeah, if you want that to be affected by the color adjust, just put it on 0. Make sure it's after the retouch though. Oh no, it's on 1 now. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna leave it on 1. And Bob's your uncle. Weird stuff happens to me, man, when I'm trying to record. Anyway, this is good. This is what we want. If we wanted to do the skin color in the other video though, let's just do that now. So to do that, we add in a screen image. So I went over here, 2D screen image. It's going to add in an orthographic camera. This orthographic camera, we need to click on the layer, add in a new layer. We'll call it user ortho. Boom. Okay. And then we do render target, user render. And then we want the render order to be 0. This one to be 1, I believe. And then this one, no, this one's 1. That's 0. That's 0. Yes. I might be wrong on that. Okay, but on this image, highlight the material or open up the image or the material that it highlights. Click on that. Okay, now we're here. We'll disable the base texture. Oh, also change the layer of this to the user ortho layer. Boom. Image. Click on your image. Just make it stretched, by the way. I'm forgetting everything. Okay. Change this to what we want the skin color to be. We're going to go yellow. Then we do an opacity texture. Okay. Add an opacity texture and search for SEG seg, and then find segmentation. Add that in. And segmentation should be on the screen UV. So we're going to change texture UV to transform UV2. Check transformed UV2. Set the source to screen UV and this leave these alone. And that will make sure that's set up properly. If you have like these edges around it on some of them, you should also set these to just clamp to edge or border color. And that's going to be affected by this offset. So make sure your offsets are 0. Don't know why they started at 1, but okay. Now that's working for human body segmentation, but we want skin. So you go click on your segmentation texture in your asset panel. And up here, segmentation type should be portrait skin. And now that is just selecting my skin. Kind of look like a doodle bop. It's not the most amazing thing in the world. You can also play with this. You can also invert this to select everything but your skin. Refining edge, it's an option you might want to turn off. You might want to leave on. That will help with your mouth sometimes. Feathering, you can change that how you need. You can play around with this after it's on your face insets. You might want to lower the alpha, change the blend mode to color is probably a good option. There you go on that. Lower the alpha a little bit. Now you can see I got like a zombie skin going on. So that's that, but we're going to turn that off. I just want to show you how to do that. I'm not actually going to use it because I didn't use it in the final output of that other one. It's just there as an option. Okay. Next step, let's get out of this camera. So to our scene down there, up here, change that back to render target, and we'll be back in our regular scene. Okay. Now, why is our character not showing up? Great question. Okay, sorry. Sorry for the cut. There was some weirdness happening. So the color adjust is like a prefab, and for some reason it was like re-updating itself to its original. So hit apply up here. Just click apply on that, and that should make your model pop back up and everything be working properly again. All right, so let's continue on. We're going to add in our face insets now. So I'm going to actually click over here and just add in a parent for the face insets, just to hold them all. And we'll add in our face inset. Take it out of that face inset binding and put it into the parent we just made. Delete that binding. Open that up and choose this. Make sure these are zeroed out. If not, reset. Okay. Now, we have to change the screen texture here. So there's a texture, and it says screen texture right now. We want that to be user render. Boom. And let's position the mouth now. So we'll go ahead and zoom to our selection here. You can see where the mouth is, that little piece sticking out. And like I did in the other video, I'll move the mouse just a little bit forward, the mouth just a little bit forward, so that it kind of sticks out the sides a little more than you'd expect. So you kind of get that 3D effect. Pretty good. And then I like to do 0.33 on the outer border radius and 0 on the inner radius. Subdivision count is all about quality. You should just max it out, 99. Unless you're having some weird performance issues, I highly doubt you are with this, I would just do 99, okay? And that is the mouth done, okay? So we're gonna call that face inset mouth. And we're just gonna go ahead and duplicate this 2 times so we get the face insets easily. And we'll call this one left eye. And we'll move that one back a little bit up. We want it to be over and change this to left eye. Boom, there it is. And then the right eye, we will do right eye. It's this little drop down right here, right eye. And now that is ready. We're going to go to our left eye and just right click the transform by the name, copy values, click on right eye, right click transform by the name, and then paste values. Then we're going to delete the negative sign. Boom. So now we have, it's looking funny how it's on my face, our face, oops, it's looking funny how it's on my face, what I said, and that's what it looks like. We've got our face insets added. Okay, you can resize them, scale them however you need to now. Let's get rid of the background real quick so we can get an idea what this is already looking like. So to do that, you come to your main render target, clear color option right here, change the color, and that's how that looks. And you just click on this and you change the color to whatever you want. Make sure you click over here too on the side, you know, because it's probably going to be all the way at the bottom. So turn that up. And if you want to use like a green screen, the best way to do it is to type in the values. So you get a full complete green. Same with blue. If you want a blue screen, type in the values. And that's what we're going to use. So we're already getting there. Now you'll see one thing right now we're going to fix, which is kind of complicated and annoying. The eye color is not working anymore. Okay? It's like transparent. That is a transparency glitch. So in order to fix that, we have to go to our face insets, right click the material and highlight it. Okay. Click on your face inset and the shader here, right click on that and highlight that. And it'll be this flat shader over here. So we're going to right click, duplicate. We're going to call this face inset fix. Okay. Now click on your face inset material and replace that shader with the one we just made. All right. Then double click that. It'll open up in the shader graph, which you might have to move the panel. And if it's already doing this ghost effect, real quick, just so we don't forget, go to your face inset material. Under opacity texture, change the texture UV to mesh UV1. Okay, boom, that's going to fix that. Now, how do we fix that weird glitch with the eye color? We look for base color. Let's just zoom in here. Base color, and then find this. Okay, this one. Double click it. And right here is where we're going to do some magic, all right? Grab this and drag out, and then choose Construct Vector. Okay? Then over here on your inspector, change it to 3 for the first input, and then 1 for the second. This value on the second, set it to 1. Okay? And then drag this to where that used to connect to. where that one connected to. So that's what it looks like now, okay? And what that did was basically we took the RGB value, continued that along, but we replaced the alpha with just 1. Every point on that texture now has the same alpha value of 1. That it was just the eye color messes up the alpha output. It should just be 1 all across it anyway. So we fixed it with that. As you can see, the eye color now works as it's supposed to. Cool. Awesome. Use that material, that shader, on any other project that has an issue like that. Okay. Next thing, let's go ahead and add some color to this. So to fix your materials, my suggestion is make new ones in Lens Studio and add the textures onto them yourself. So there are a couple types. Let's just clean up this project a little bit. Click on Assets and click Tab, and it'll make a new folder. You can also press the plus button and look for new folder, but it's a lot of steps. We're going to call this Textures, I think. Yeah. I already had a texture somewhere apparently. Whatever. Just drag in all your textures just to clean this up. Same with materials. So I'm just down here. Drag all your materials in to one thing. And that's good for now. We'll delete this box 3D mesh. We don't need that. Okay, in our materials, let's click in there. Click the plus button, and we have 2 main types. Search for Uber, just like the just like the taxi company or whatever. Uber diffuse is matte. That is like plastic, like it's not super reflective or really supposed to be reflective. Uber PBR, that is reflective. That's what you use on metal, metallic stuff, things that are reflective, glass, whatever. Uber Unlit has no lighting effects at all. Okay? So that's what you would use for like a screen image or something. So that's not supposed to be affected by the lighting in the scene in the slightest. Uber PBR though, reflective. Uber Diffuse is like matte paint. So we are going to add in Uber Diffuse, and we are going to add in Uber PBR. Now, I'm going to call this Uber Diffuse Eraser, and I'm going to quickly set it, the base color, to just a random pink. We'll go in and edit this in a minute. And I'm going to actually click up here, make a new folder called Character inside the materials, just to keep this cleaned up. Okay, and our Uber, whoops, where'd it go? I then lost it. There it is. Uber PBR is going to be the graphite first. Okay. So we'll duplicate, whoops, why do I keep doing that? Oh my goodness. We'll duplicate the graphite one when we need reflective stuff. Just make that black. And the eraser one when we need non-reflective. So non-reflective, we'll do yellow wood. Duplicate that, and we'll do shaved wood. Then we have a reflective one, which is the silver. Whoa. Whoops, I'm clicking all the wrong stuff. Sorry, y'all. Silver. I think that's all, right? Yeah, so shaved wood will go like a tan. Yellow wood will go yellow. Silver will be silver. And real quick, just hold down Shift and select all of these. Uncheck base texture, uncheck normal map if you don't need those. We're only doing colors in my case, so we don't need that. And let's get adding them. So come up to your character, make sure you're back in the scene like this. Open all of these up, and you'll see which one's which. Okay, so now we just need to replace that material. Boom. So I just dragged it and dropped it right on there where the other material used to be. Do that for all of them. So that's the eraser. Eraser goes there. This is the silver piece, silver material. That's the shaved wood. We'll put that material on. And then we have the graphite. Boom. So that's looking pretty good. We can play with our lighting now too. We also have another color adjust that's snuck in here. Let's delete that. That's not supposed to be there. Whoopsie. Anyway, let's go back. We can play with our lighting a little bit here. So we have like our environment map, which you can play with, or rotate. We've got our directional lights. You can add more lights too. You can add an ambient light. You might need to do that. But let's edit our materials. So one thing I want to do with all of these, I might even just see if I can do it like this. Yeah, I selected all of them. I'm going to do a rim highlight, and I'm going to invert it. Okay. And then roughly want to make it like, we're going to have to do it manually on each of them, I think. Okay. The eraser, you want it to be a lighter pink. And then your main pink be a little darker. And play with this till you kind of get this like that effect. You don't have to do this. I'm just trying to make it look nicer. That adds like a fake 3D look to it, right? So we'll do that with all of them. We have kind of this lighter color here, then the darker shade there. And then we'll do the exposure trick, or that little trick like that. Boom. Silver. Probably doesn't need the rim highlight, but turn the metallic up on that and make that look actually reflective. Turn a little bit of roughness on it. There we go. And actually probably can benefit from some rim highlight. Let's just go ahead and do it. Boom. Yellow wood, same thing. Let's go with a light yellow. Like a darker yellow here. It's kind of looking green. Let's go like actually yellow, please. There we go. This is probably too bright of a yellow. Okay. So that's a pretty nice looking pencil with no textures. All right, next I'm going to show you how to do the nose like I did before in that previous project, and we're also going to enable anti-aliasing. So let's do anti-aliasing first. So you can see like there's kind of like some jaggedy lines on the side. Click on your main render target, anti-aliasing mode up here. Change that to MSAA, and that will get rid of them jaggedy lines. Okay, now let's do the nose. Let me show you how I did that. So we'll duplicate the right eye here. Name this nose. And change this to nose. Nose is not great. We'll change our X to 0 so it's in the center. Move it down. Resize that to like 0.2 or something, or 0.5. Okay. We want to highlight our face inset and duplicate that material. Then on the nose, add that material to it. So the nose is on a different material than the other 3 face insets. And that allows us to then change the color of this one. I'll actually pick a screen color here. Maybe adjust that slightly. And boom. That's how I did that nose in the other one. Let's move that up a tiny bit. So that is done. If you want to see it in full camera width, we go to no simulation down there. And there it is. If you want to expand this panel up here, there's a little maximize button. Click on that. Oops, I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, right here. Click on that maximize button. Boom. You got a little full screen option. You can click that same button to go back, by the way. So there it is. There's the character. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you need any help, ask in the comments below. If you know what you're doing, maybe answer some comments below. And if you need even more help with Lens Studio in general, go to the Snap AR Discord, which will be linked in the description as well. And I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.